a quick word on a bit of scuttlebutt that's been making the round. I wouldn't even call it scuttlebutt, but Brian Windhorst on the Hoop Collective's, not their most recent episode, the one before that, they were going through their most intriguing players in the NBA to watch this season, and Windy brought up Julius Randle. And he brought him up because, notably, he has no extension done yet.
Because of that $29 million salary, he's extraordinarily tradable. The Knicks do still have a couple of first-round
picks they can move.
The one thing I would say about the possibility of moving Randle is I think you need to get some playmaking in return, because Jalen Brunson cannot be the only playmaker on the roster. I think while Randle does not have a great playoff history, I think his playmaking was missed in the playoffs. 100%. There's just not a ton of guys, especially at the forward position, that can give you 25 and 10 and 5.
I wanted to just quickly hop on this because I promise you there are very few people who spend as much time not only thinking about possible moves the Knicks could make down the line, but also hashing out the reality of how those trades would work. I don't doubt Windy for a second, because he, like everybody else, has done the math and sees that, well, none of these Villanova guys are going anywhere. OG Anunoby's not going anywhere. So if the Knicks hope to acquire someone of significance, and obviously most, if not all, players of significance in the NBA make a lot of money unless they're on a rookie contract, well, Randle would be the salary that needs to go out. And I don't disagree with him. The issue comes with the fact that Randle's contract, and this is where I wonder if Windy was intentional in his wording, it is almost too good. So Julius, as of right now, according to HoopSite, is the 56th highest paid player in the league, makes $28.9 million. By virtue of the fact that the Knicks went over the first apron and are over the first apron, you've heard this before, they cannot take back more salary in a trade than they send out. So all of a sudden, if it's just Julius's salary going out, or even if you want to do Julius plus, like Precious Achiuwa plus like Deuce McBride, well, and I'm not suggesting that they should package all those players together, just for argument's sake. If you send all those players out in a deal, well, that gets you to $40 million or about $40 million. That's still leaving out the top 25 players in the league in terms of how much money they make. Now, if the other issue is like, okay, well, Julius Randle may be eminently tradable, or his contract may be eminently tradable, who are you trading him for? And you could go through the list of players around the league who might potentially be dealt by their teams this season. And without going too far down this rabbit hole, a lot of them, may not fit very well with the Knicks. I completely agree with what Tim McMahon said on the episode. It is something that Fred Katz has come on this pod repeatedly and said, which is that if they're trading Julius, they're only trading him for a better player. Ian Begley has reported this, I think, several times, for another premium shot creator. Well, you guys could look and see, the list of NBA players who fit that description and who would fit on the Knicks roster. It's not very many names. And the ones that are there are in the highest salary bracket, which leads to the final issue. Well, if you need to build up enough salary, all of a sudden now it's not just Julius and Precious and Deuce. Now you're talking about throwing in Mitch as well. Well, now if you're talking about throwing in Mitch, well, who's going to play center? And this is why any Knicks content creator who has done their homework and has gone through all of these hoops and jumped through all of them ultimately winds back on the Karl Anthony Towns island, whether they want it Karl Anthony Towns or not, because he is that unique player that kind of fits. He fits the if you send out a center, he could play center, but he could also, maybe play a little bit of the four. And I don't want Karl Anthony Towns on this basketball team. If you're listening to this right now, my guess is that you don't want Karl Anthony Towns on this basketball team. But like, if you do the Julius Randle trade exercise, the end of a lot of those roads is Towns. That's not the point. The point is that Windy is completely correct in what he is saying. while at the same time, I think maybe making something of a situation that is not realistically a situation, at least as of right now. Things could change. You got to see how the team plays. Got to see how they start out. All of that stuff. But I would not worry about this. I would not go into the season thinking that Julius Randle is like on the trade block. He certainly is not. But yes, from a salary perspective, if you're looking at completing a big trade, some way, shape, or form, his salary will probably need to be involved.